All of Us Are Dead, a new K-drama/zombie series that manages to be memorable in a genre that has been done to death. This is far from a perfect show or the best zombie content I've seen, but it's an enjoyable watch. This show never made me want to tear up like Train to Busan, though they do try. And no, I'm not mentioning Train to Busan because it was also made in Korea, but because for the most part, zombie movies or shows that make you want to cry are not always easy to come by.
Me?
I'm sorry, Rick. While writing this review, I've seen what other folks have been saying about it, and I keep seeing the show Kingdom be mentioned as a superior zombie show, so I'll probably be checking that out next. Consider this your spoiler warning. I will be discussing pretty much everything that happens in this show. Another side note, I did not read the webtoon that this show is based on, so if you can, please try not to spoil anything from the webtoons in the comment section. Episode 1 spends the first 45 minutes or so setting up the characters, and then the last 15 minutes the zombie outbreak begins. And it is glorious, with the cafeteria scene just being insane. According to the director, these green school uniforms were chosen so it would contrast more with blood. Squid Game followed the same line of thought. This cafeteria scene was done using a single long shot to show the chaos, with a lot of the actors improvising their reactions in different takes. I was a little concerned when I saw the CG for some of the graphic violence in the first episode, but after that, they really go the other way with it and go nuts and have fun with the practical effects, which, I mean, let's be honest, that has to be one of the more enjoyable parts of making any sort of zombie media. And they absolutely hit it out of the park with that stuff. I even saw in one of the making of videos that they built massive sets for the show, and the effort and dedication to create an exciting, fleshed out horror experience pays off. The idea of a concerned father creating a virus to help his son deal with bullies is definitely not one I've personally seen before in the zombie genre. So they get points for originality there, though I guess some might see a similarity between this virus and the virus from 28 Days Later. The dad is sort of wasted, as it becomes apparent his recordings, which we see periodically, are much more interesting than anything he does during the events of the show. The characters that we follow all have stories that hit us in different ways, and I even found myself simultaneously hating but having sympathy for certain characters. The love triangle, or love square I guess, between the four main students is done well, with each character getting a moment or multiple moments where they show a willingness to sacrifice themselves for the person they like or love. I'll always be a sucker for the best friends becoming lovers trope. The writers do a good job early on showing In-soo and Cheong-san's chemistry together. Also, they got a laugh out of me every time she kicked him. I did see some criticism of actress Park Ji-hyun's performance, the complaints being that she doesn't show a wide range of emotions, which I can understand. But perhaps that's how her character was written, to be more of a pragmatic and emotional middle road when compared to the frantic Na-yeon and stoic Nam-ra. Now, some might find the drama aspect of this show to be completely out of place. You have zombies running around, people being eaten, the world might be ending for all they know, and yet we get moments of teenagers being teenagers, talking about who they do or don't like romantically. And it's played straight. We're supposed to care about this. I'm fine with that, because at the end of the day, these are kids. We can't expect them to act like adults. There's no way to know how kids would respond to events that are beyond anybody's comprehension. So to me, the romantic tension and the part with the teenagers joking around with each other didn't seem out of place at all. It obviously depends, but I feel like with this genre there's an underlying self-aware comedy that's almost always there now. It's also made clear that the concept of zombies is well known in this universe, with the kids mentioning the movie Train to Busan, so with that being said, it drove me nuts how the kids wouldn't just aim for the head. Hari was the only one with the right idea. Something I found intriguing was how the government was portrayed. The subplots of the politician and martial law commander convey a certain respect for those who make decisions that affect millions. When Soju confronts the politician, Yoon-hee, I was expecting him to win their little back and forth, setting the elitist politician straight, but it actually goes the other way. And how about the police being shown as having dignity and compassion? Or the military not being psychos? Well, at least for like 9.5 episodes anyway. Normally in these types of movies, the politicians are cartoonishly self-interested and the military has some nefarious secret agenda, but not here. There's a relative tacit respect for authority. And let's be honest, the scene with the South Korean commandos lighting up the zombies in the school to retrieve the laptop, that was fucking awesome. I think they could have taken down the whole campus if they wanted to. When the military does decide to go insane for a few episodes, which still made no sense to me, it drove me nuts that they left the kids on the rooftop. That to me was just so dumb. But even with that, the show doesn't really go with a theme of people losing faith in their government. More so a theme of the younger generation losing faith in the adults who abandon them. One of the more unique methods of character development I've ever seen was with Na-yeon, the girl who murders Kyung-soo and then gets the teacher killed. She was easy to hate, as the writers also had her be so over the top with her elitist attitude. However, despite all of that, she gets a moment of atonement or redemption, though I don't even feel comfortable saying that, but it's sort of presented that way. It's just unusual how it's done. After the murder she commits and emotional breakdown she has, she hides in a storage room and never engages with another character again. Except this asshole. And in a way, that room is a microcosm of her life. She's sheltered, has things that other people would die for, in this case food and a secure room, and yet she's miserable and alone. And then to top it off, her watching the video recordings of all the other students is a nice reflection of her life as well. Witnessing all these kids become friends, but just like the recordings, she can't share in that, only watch. I don't know if this counts as character development, but it obviously moves something inside of her. But then it's wasted as she dies quickly after that, never getting to interact with the main cast again. There's other examples of this where we invest in a character's storyline just for it to end abruptly, almost like the writers are saying, yeah, we don't need you anymore, so you can die now. So was this bad writing or an attempt at realism? The way people die in real life is often senseless and seemingly without any meaning, and maybe they wanted the audience to feel that nobody's safe and there is no plot armor in this show. But as a viewer, it does get frustrating. Another character who is treated as an outsider is Yoon-ji. Brutally bullied and sexually assaulted, she's terrified of what others think of her. In her mind, suicide is the only way to save some dignity or at least end the pain. But suddenly she sees that even that isn't an escape as everyone starts to die and become part of the undead clique. In a cruel twist of fate, dying and becoming a zombie isn't even something she can join in on. She instead becomes a mutation where she is not fully zombie or human. Nam-ra and the bully character are also put in this situation. I kept trying to find some pattern as to why some kids turned into mindless zombies and others turned into superhumans. It might have something to do with each person having unfinished business, but hopefully that's not the reason, because you can make that argument for a lot of the other characters who simply turned into mindless zombies. Maybe it's just random, like a random mutation which would fit the whole virus theme. I just can't believe they didn't have the bully character encounter Yoon-ji and have the two battle it out in their zombie forms. Her getting revenge in a brutal fight with him would have been 100 times better than seeing him fall off the roof for the 10th time. A small but nice touch is they paid attention to the more mundane aspects of trying to survive, discussing the need for food and water, even creating ad hoc bathrooms to take care of business when nature called. You even notice after a few episodes all their lips starting to get chapped due to the dehydration they are almost all dealing with. There's also a great deal of comedy intertwined in the show. Lee Eun-sam as Pak Mi-jin had the standout performance to me. Absolutely hilarious, her character added some nice levity even in the saddest or darkest scenes. Bae-soo was also good at breaking the tension. I'm happy both of them survived. But Soju, Eun-jo's father, was my favorite character, and the scene where he's fighting back the zombie horde with the fire hose trying to get the VIPs to the roof was almost perfect. My only gripe was at the end of the scene. They show him walking slowly up the stairs to fake us out into thinking he got bit, but he ends up being fine. The problem is, where did all the zombies go? He would have no time to walk that slowly. Putting that aside though, it was still a thrilling scene. His escape from the quarantine zone? Not so much. All of a sudden, the South Korean military has stormtrooper aim. Honestly, they should have just had him escape without incident and avoided that whole mess. His death was by far the most forced thing, and I would say the most botched moment in the show. There is no reason for him to die there. None. He locks himself into the tennis court, even though there are zombies chasing them outside of it that he can see. And it only ends up buying them like 10 seconds anyway. It was just a poorly executed attempt at trying to get us to feel something, but it was just too dumb. It needs to make some sense. The blow was lightened a little, as at least they show that his tracking ribbons on the trees help the students when they're lost later, which was way more helpful than what he did on the tennis court. Another criticism I have is the students not utilizing the president in a smart way. I mean, maybe they didn't know the zombies wouldn't attack her, but they encountered that asshole enough times that they should have picked up on this. Because if I'm them, anytime I need someone to go near zombies, I'm throwing her out there. This show was a lot of fun, but these little inconsistencies stop it from being great. I mentioned earlier how this show struggled to get me to feel teary-eyed about anything, but the one scene that almost got me was done beautifully. It was when Ji-min sees her parents dead through the drone camera. Very sad. And for some reason, the kid controlling the drone felt the need to keep the camera on them for as long as possible. Like, dude, we get it. They're dead. Get the camera off of them. Ji-min's video recording is also upsetting, and her character's fate, like some others, was disappointing. I would have liked her to survive despite how annoying she was at times, but instead they make her look like a coward in one of her final moments, abandoning her friend before eventually being killed in a very unimpactful way. I could be wrong, but nobody even seems to mention or care that she's dead either. Rough fate. As a side note, it's kind of hilarious that the other girl survives when she is easily the most useless person in the group. Towards the end, I started to feel that the show should have been maybe like 3 episodes shorter. The formula of them running to an area, getting stuck, figuring out a creative way to get out, with usually someone dying along the way, running to another area, getting stuck, rinse, repeat, it eventually got exhausting. I was relieved though when in their final showdown with the zombie horde, they decide not to run and to just fight. I thought that was an excellent decision to have them do that, though I wanted to throw my remote when I saw them not hitting the zombies in the head. Like, come on, you know enough at this point. As far as theories about the way the show ended, I still can't accept that Cheong-san is dead, and I thought his and In-soo's final moment together was great, but I don't know. I feel like that can't be it for him. My guess is that Season 2 will reveal that he is now a half-zombie like the class president, and then we'll get a situation where both In-soo and Bae-soo are in love with half-zombie people. Or maybe now Cheong-san and the class president are half-zombie lovers. Who knows? I also have a weird suspicion that In-soo might be sort of infected. If you noticed in the episode when they're in the lab trying to get the drone, they show mice running around her feet. Maybe she got bit. Or maybe it's just nothing. I think if I was just talking about the first 7 or 8 episodes, I'd say this show is great. But the last 4 episodes revealed a lot of inconsistencies and it went off the rails a little. But again, it's ultimately a very fun show that I would recommend to anybody. I happened to watch it on a snow day, so it was perfect. Anyway, those were my thoughts on this fun, sometimes inconsistent, yet epic zombie drama. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll talk to you all next time.